Hello my dudes, welcome back to another relaxing doodle video with me, the Doodler. And today I wanted to do another mental health awareness chat. And I think we're going to discuss being better to ourselves and having a kinder inner monologue. And I'm going to just doodle some things to give your brain something to focus on as I talk to you about being better to yourself. So first of all, let's discuss how we view ourselves. Let's discuss what it is we see when we think of ourself. What is it that we are reminded of or thought of? What is our ego? And what do we feel when we're discussing our very own self? Try and imagine that you're standing in front of a mirror and you are looking at yourself. What kind of thoughts come to mind? Are the thoughts that come to your mind positive? Are you happy, first of all, with what you see? Do you only see the negatives or areas of your body you can improve on? Or perhaps you think of a version of yourself, how you should look, and you're caught comparing yourself to a fake, unrealistic being that doesn't exist, and you're stuck wondering about this. Perhaps you're wondering what you would look like if you were happier, if all your goals that you set out to do came true. Maybe you imagine yourself happier because you've achieved these goals, or happier because you stuck with something and you imagine this self of yours that feels like your true self that you're trying to achieve. And you're daydreaming about being more successful, maybe even just being thinner or in more in shape, healthier, fitter. Maybe these are the thoughts that cross your mind when you look at yourself in the mirror. However, this is still your reality. Whatever part of you that is still looking at the mirror is still you. This future self that you're imagining and wishing you could be can't come to fruition if you don't take the steps towards that future. And now, the reality of who you are might sink in, and you might find yourself unhappy or jaded or bitter. And this is a step towards the wrong direction. Because you have to live this reality. You don't get to choose. Even though you've imagined this wonderful future or this wonderful self of yours, a fitter self, a thinner self, a happier self, whatever it is, it could be. you're still stuck with your current self. And how could it possibly be good for you to have nothing but negative thoughts creeping into your head, telling you terrible, terrible things? Eventually, these thoughts, without a doubt, are going to make you feel like this is your reality. No one else is thinking these thoughts. And even if someone else were to be thinking these awful thoughts that you tell yourself, it's really none of your business what other people think of you. It's a waste of energy to try and change what people say or try and control what other people think in any way. You have a much better chance and a much more realistic chance of changing your thoughts. Getting rid of terrible self-talk is 100% necessary to become a better you. It's not easy in the beginning, because in the beginning, like everything you start, it is difficult. When you're growing up, your parents want you to do certain routines: take a shower, take a bath, brush your teeth. All of these things at the time seem pointless and annoying, and you don't want to do it. You'd rather have fun or stay up later. You don't want to get ready for bed, and you want to just argue with your parents. But this is honestly a good example of how routine can eventually become habit. You can apply this to anything, whether it be exercise, meditation, self-care. All of these things don't happen overnight. Try and imagine you have dry skin. And this might be a little silly example, but I think it's quite effective, and I like it myself. Imagine you have dry skin, and you want to help it, and you decide to buy yourself a bottle of lotion or hand cream or whatever it is, and you use it once, and you think, wow, my hands feel pretty nice. I don't really think I need to keep moisturizing my hands because they feel quite nice right now. And then, to your surprise, in the morning when you wake up, you notice that your hands are dry once again. And at this point, what should you do? It shouldn't be giving up. You've just bought this brand new bottle of lotion. It should be to moisturize again. take some maintenance. If things were just a one-time thing and things would just fix themselves, then there'd be no goals, there'd be no reward, there'd be no gratification at the end. I like to think of successful people and try and imagine them starting out when they were probably quite scared about their future. But I listen to a lot of videos of successful people, and they tell themselves they wish they could go back in time and talk to themselves when they're scared and unsure about the future. They want to go back in time and tell them, keep doing what you're doing. I promise that it pays off. It gets better. And it's not easy, but you're strong and you can keep going. And eventually, you find that things are more achievable. Your confidence begins to grow, and you find yourself better equipped at facing challenges that come your way, because they never stop. The challenges will absolutely never stop. But you've been putting yourself through this hell, and it's slowly going to pay off. And this is where we're going to come right back around to positive self-talk. When you're telling yourself that, oh, I'm a failure, I've done terrible things, or I don't want to live, I don't want to be here, I just want the pain to go away, I don't want anything to bother me, I don't want any responsibility because I'm just going to mess everything up. None of that helps. No one on their deathbed looks back and wonders why they did the things they did. They always wonder why they didn't do the one thing they wanted to do, or why they didn't take that chance when they could have. Those are the thoughts that are going to keep you up when you get closer and closer to death. Why you didn't just take the plunge, or why you allowed yourself to talk yourself out of some opportunity because it posed some risk. I don't see yourself ever telling yourself when you're old and unable to do the things you love, why did you do those things? Because you're only going to see them as experiences. That's part of living life. Society has a way of making you comfortable. It wants you to think and wants you to adhere to the comfortable lifestyle that works. any risk is a chance you really shouldn't take. But again, try and imagine yourself old and most likely very alone. Maybe all of your friends have passed on. Your parents at this time have certainly passed on. If you have siblings, they're probably getting quite old as well. Think about the thoughts that would be going into your head at that age. What kind of life you lived and led up to this moment. Try and imagine all the terrible things you told yourself. All of the terrible things you tried to convince yourself of. Simply out of fear. It would seem pretty useless at this point. Thinking about mistakes, thinking about what other people are thinking of you. What an absolute waste of energy. And here you are, at the end of it all, wondering why you spent so much time worrying about some useless thing like that. Just try and imagine. Try and come to terms that eventually death will come. Try and understand that everything is temporary. And we can sit around and wonder what the hell the purpose of life is. And be constantly scared. Or we can just try and live. Try our best to think about how to bring the most meaning out of life. When you start talking ugly to yourself, what I like to do personally is imagine I'm talking to myself as a child, back before the world can corrupt you, back before your fears controlled everything you did or didn't do. Try and imagine that little baby or that little child, so happy, absolutely so happy. And imagine trying to crush their dreams. Imagine being the type of person that would try to crush a little child's dreams or little child's hopes. It's very difficult. So why would you do that to yourself? Try and give your younger self a future it would be proud of if you went back in time and talked to them. These steps aren't easy, but it starts with yourself. These evil, nasty, terrible thoughts you tell yourself. It doesn't help anyone, especially you. This is inevitable. Growing old, losing the people you love, all of this is inevitable. You can make a strong argument that life is very, very tough. Why add to that by being ugly to yourself? Imagine your younger self sitting down with them and trying to talk them out of all the crazy things that they thought and believed at that time. Give them something to be proud of. You have to believe in yourself. I hope you found the video inspiring and you're able to chase anything you want at any age. There is no right time. Try and be good to yourself. I hope you found the video relaxing and you were able to let go of some of those worries you were holding on to. And don't try and jump 2, 3, 4 steps ahead. Just take one step ahead at improving yourself. One day at a time. Just a small routine of talking better to yourself. Imagining your older self and how much you'll regret or how much you'll be so upset at yourself for wasting time and energy on terrible thoughts and terrible fears that controlled so much of your life. And if those ugly thoughts come back, try and imagine you're talking to your younger self and just how cruel that would be if you wouldn't do it to yourself as a child. Why do it now? Thank you so much for watching. I just want to try and spread some positivity. And I hope this helps whoever needed to listen to it, whoever needed to hear these words. I'm rooting for you. I think you can do it. Don't be this person and regretting everything. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video, my dudes.